In this video series, we want to deploy this architecture as infrastructure as code in Terraform, and the focus of this video is deploying a Cognito user pool, which I want to use for the user authentication later. In this video, we will deploy Cognito as I marked here, which we can send email to invited user, and I will use S3 to keep the template of the invitation email. First, I will go to the Terraform implementation of Cognito, which I have provided already for you. Here is the implementation of Cognito, AWS Cognito service in Terraform. You can find the source code in GitHub. I will upload it as public access to be available for using. If you go to your AWS console and looking for Cognito, you will be redirected to this page, and under user pools you would see the instances which we deploy via Terraform. Here in input file you would see many input parameters which are not necessary for this video, but I will use it in the series of videos for deploying the architecture that I mentioned. And the main file is the place where I develop or define the configuration of any resources that I would use. User pool is the Cognito user pool. I will use the simple Cognito user pool without MFA, but I will show you later how you can activate MFA. And the next one would be the next resource in Cognito are the Cognito user groups, which I would use for later videos, and the Cognito user pool client where we can authenticate the end users in our application, and a domain for our applicate client app. The next resource that I have in this implementation is S3. S3 is a place where I keep the image file that I would use in my Cognito invitation. Maybe it would be better that before I go to S3 implementation, I should explain a little more about invitation email. When we use user pool of Cognito, user pool service of Amazon Cognito service, we have the possibility to invite users to this user pool, and we can define a customized template for invitation email. If I go back to the Cognito resource, we have the possibility to define the template or the invitation structure of the Cognito. Actually, I used template resource of Terraform, and I provided a HTML file. You can find it under template invitation message. This message has a placeholder. Actually, it's not necessary to have a placeholder, but I wanted to show you how you can use template of Terraform, how you can assign a value to the a template placeholder, and how you can use the template resource of Terraform in your resources. I have defined a placeholder with a $sign and the brackets that I have here. I close it. Then you have the possibility to use data template file of Terraform. You can define where the Terraform template is located, and you can say in vars arguments which parameter or placeholder must be replaced with which value, real value. and after that you can use this template file resource in your other AWS resources or any other Terraform resources. You can say, yes, I have a data template file. Invitation email is a name, any arbitrary name you can use it, and then rendered. The rendered body, it means after a value is replaced, it will be rendered, and then a rendered value will be assigned to the email message of, in our case, invitation email of Cognito user pool. The next deployment is S3. S3 is not necessary is not necessary for Cognito, but in this example I wanted to show you how you can use templates and how you can use an output of an uploaded image on S3 in your template. Therefore, I deployed a S3 bucket here. You can see it is a S3 bucket. This bucket has public read because it would upload it would contain an image which must have public access or public read access because the users which are invited to Cognito don't have any permission. Therefore, it is a public available or readable image file. After that, I created or deploy provisioned S3 bucket. I use another Terraform resource bucket object and upload the image that I have. The image I use is located in Cognito. Therefore, I have a reference to, if I go to main, I have a reference to a place where the file is located, and then I say, yes, if anytime I update this file, you can upload it to the same bucket object in AWS S3. The important part is the output here. You see that I have one output here. It is the regional domain name of the uploaded bucket object. I want use this path in my invitation email. Therefore, if we go to Cognito implementation, you see I have Terraform remote state where I read the state file for S3, and then I use this reference here in template, and I say, yeah, yes, Terraform, you have the real value, the correct value under this remote state S3 output image bucket regional domain. It's important that you know if you use Terraform, you should be careful where you keep your Terraform state file. I have configured it in my provider TF file, and I say yes, S3 would be saved in a bucket. The bucket is located here under S3 service. The Terraform of my project for dev stage is here. I keep the state files here. You see that I have a folder for Cognito and a folder for S3. Here I referenced as key the state file of Cognito can be kept here, and when you go to the provider TF of S3, you can see that I keep the Terraform state file of S3 here. This name can be any arbitrary name. I define the name simply Terraform. And based on the bucket name and the key of the place where you keep the Terraform state file, then you can configure the Terraform remote state. You can say, yes, the bucket name is this variable name, and the key is the key that I defined in my provider. The region is Europe Central 1. and based on the configuration you can access the only output part of your state file. Therefore, I use the output here and define an output here because you can access the output of a state file when you are using Terraform remote state of Terraform. To deploy the resources, I have developed a pipeline, a YAML pipeline. You can find the pipeline in GitHub, which I would document it in description of the video. I have one deployment pipeline and one deprovisioning deployment or provisioning pipeline and a destroy or deprovisioning pipeline. To simply destroy all the resources that I deploy. I will execute my pipeline. The focus of this video is not pipeline, therefore I won't go through the code here, but if you have any question you can write the comment. I would answer your questions. And now I stop the video. Great, we see that the pipeline is finished successfully. I go back to AWS console. I do a refresh here, go to buckets. We can see that I have deployed a bucket which has specific naming convention. It's important always to have a naming convention for your resources to follow a specific pattern. I decided to use the specific pattern as my project name, environment name, short name of course, and then region, short name of course, in lowercase. And this is my bucket which has public access. And if I go to it, I have solution 1 bucket object uploaded via Terraform. The second resource that we deployed is Cognito user pool, which we defined it here. I go to Cognito service. Here we see user pool. Yes, under user pool, the same naming convention, project name, stage or environment name, and then region name. I have deployed or defined some groups here. You can see the groups as well, and then I have defined an application app integration. The app integration is here as well. We would use it in another videos to authenticate end user to our front end and back. Now, without wasting time, I would invite a user to this Cognito user pool to show you how the invitation email will looks like. Of course, you have the possibility to go to messaging and then go to invitation message and see the body of the image. You see here I had a placeholder here in my template image bucket domain name. It has been replaced with the correct URL of my image that I uploaded as bucket object in S3 service. Great, I go back to the users. I only filled out the form and I said yes, I want to generate a password. Actually, Cognito will generate a password and will send it to me. As you see, I have some other placeholders here. They are the Cognito placeholders, and Cognito will replace these two placeholders for me without sending out the invitation to the invited user. And then I said, say, create user. It will take some seconds that I receive the email. I'll stop the video. You see the email that I have received from Cognito user user pool. This is my username and this is my password. It's not important that you see it in this video because I destroyed the Cognito user pool after this video, but how I can test it. And you see that the image that I uploaded in Cognito in S3 bucket is displayed here as well. To be able to use this invitation, we can go to application app integration section and then go to the client app. We have in AWS the possibility to have a sample user login to be able to test our Cognito user pool or invitation. I will copy and paste the username and password here and go to sign in. I would go to redirect it to the second page where I should say what is the password. There the default configuration of Cognito, and if you have the same configuration in Terraform as my definition here, you would have the same result here. The name and family name are selected here. You see name and family name, and then I show where you can find the attributes. The attributes is important that you know the attributes which are selected here are configured only by creation. If you need more attribute after a while, you should know it's not possible to integrate any more or select any more attribute. Only way is to redeploy the Cognito user pool. I go ahead and you see that I have been logged in and I received or obtained a code. It is the workflow actually that I defined here for my application, and it is a correct way that I have been logged. Okay, I wanted to show you where you can see the attribute that you configured here for Cognito user pool. You can go to sign up experience, and then you would see name and family name. Of course, if you can have more, but first you should destroy and redeploy the Cognito user pool. One more thing that I mentioned here is the destroy or exit cloud. I called it. I have two pipelines most of the time. One of them is for deployment, the other one is for destroy. You can go to the pipeline and run it, and in the reverse order of deployment you should destroy the services because of the deployment dependencies. I run the pipeline on the branch that I want. Now the pipeline for destroy is finished, and I go to you see that we have there already. I refresh the page. Actually we shouldn't have any user pool anymore, and I go to S3 and we see that the S3 where I uploaded public access read access bucket object is not available anymore.